Welcome to Pearsall Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando, and we're on episode 357, a themed episode.
Yeah, 357 episodes in, and our themed episodes are where we get a chance to talk about a specific topic. It's a themed episode. Every other week, we do an update episode where we're talking about the kind of what's going on in our lives reselling-wise, what we're selling, what we're picking up, kind of the random stories of being at the garage sales, being at the bins, being at thrift stores, all the crazy stuff that comes up. And then we also have our Monday Mini. So if you're listening to this right now, most of our audience is podcast only. So if you're listening right now and you haven't checked us out on YouTube, come on over right now to YouTube, hit the like and subscribe because you're missing a lot of content. We have content that comes out every Monday, shorter episodes, and then we do some other stuff occasionally on YouTube as well. So make sure to come over and subscribe. But today we're going to be talking about the things that's like eBay should do these things. People have been saying these things forever. Some of these things be nice, but there's some things where it's like, come on, eBay, come on.
It cracks me up.
Can we do this?
It cracks me up the way you framed it because I wasn't trying to frame it like that. I wanted it. I titled the eBay wish list, like in the sense of this can be a very much like complain episode, the entire episode. So I wanted to keep it positive, like, hey, eBay, this really would help us out. Not in like, oh, eBay, can't you just take care of things?
Okay, so we're not going to do we're not going to harp for 45 minutes on the instant payment on offers. Even though
that probably would get us more views if we just said we just titled this "Reasons We Hate eBay." I'm sure it'd be like a highest viewed episode ever.
Okay, so let's restart that opening here. So what we're doing here, this is like our Santa Claus wish list to eBay.
There you go.
Dear eBay, it would be great if you could bring us, and then here's the things that we want. So yeah, let's do it that way. What's the first one here? What is it you think would be good for us to have or see eBay to include?
Before I talk about that, I don't also, one more caveat here is I don't want to throw in things that are probably never going to happen, right? I don't want to say end promoted listings. Like we know that's never going to happen, right? If we say, we would love 0 fees, that's never going to happen. Okay. So I'm talking about things that I think in reality can happen, that I believe it would both help eBay and us. And we know eBay listens to our podcast, so hopefully you're listening and some of these ideas maybe resonate. You're always welcome to. We haven't been on the eBay for Business podcast in a long time. And I know, maybe it's because we haven't been the kindest, but we highlight eBay a lot, a ton. I love eBay. By the way, eBay Open's coming up, so if you haven't signed up, make sure to sign up. We'll see you guys, virtually there. So, yeah. All right, so the first thing, the reason this very first thing came up is the other day, I'm going to share a story here. I ended up, you know me, I always have like random boxes of stuff I've never listed, right? And so I went in the garage because I had a whole pile of clothing and I'm like, I don't want to list these clothing. Like, it's just going to be a pain. It's hot. I don't want to deal with it. I go in and there was like this little basket full of vintage pins, like presidential campaigns, movements from the 60s and 70s. It was really cool. And so, I get these pins and I start doing my research because, most of the time pins aren't worth very much. But sometimes if you get a vintage one that people really want, like they can go for hundreds of dollars. And so I went through them and I did my research on eBay. And then I thought, you know what? I should check WorthPoint. So I checked WorthPoint. And on one of them, luckily I checked on WorthPoint because I was going to list it for like $100, but it sold for like $200 to $300. And there were none listed. And so now I know to list that higher. But there was one that for whatever reason, I forgot to check on WorthPoint. And I checked on eBay. There's no comp. So I'm like, this is probably not too popular. So it was an anti-Vietnam War. Like it was a peace thing, 1969 with the dove and everything. So I listed on eBay for $64 plus shipping. I'm like, maybe I'll get something. Within 2 hours, it sold automatically at 50% off for $32. I'm like, oh no. Wow. You know how it is? Like when something sells instantly, and I listed this at 1 a.m. and it sold at like 2:30 a.m. Okay. So that means either it was somebody on the East Coast getting up in the morning or somebody's alert came off. And I'm like, wait a second, this is not good. And so sure enough, I go on WorthPoint and I'm like, oh no, I didn't search this on WorthPoint. And there's been 2 that have sold in the last decade. One sold in like 2013 for $52 plus ship, and one sold in 2021 for $252 plus ship. And maybe I wouldn't get the 252. Maybe I'll get somewhere in the middle. But I'm like, oh, wouldn't it have been nice if I could just go on eBay and just get this information? Like, why do I have to go to a third party? Right? Why do I have to remember to go to a third party? Why do I have to pay? I appreciate WorthPoint. I love WorthPoint, but why do I have to pay $26? They're taking eBay's information to create their site. And so I was like, I'm not sure why eBay can't do this. Right? Terapeak already does 2 years back. Why can't eBay just go back? Let's say just 2010. Just go back to 2010. Right? Somehow WorthPoint's able to do that. WorthPoint must have some kind of back access to eBay's data, or maybe they bought it or something. I don't know, but there has to be that. And then I'll add one more, and then I'll stop talking. And we talked about this. We even brought this up in 2019 at eBay. We were talking with the good old days of Harry Temkin, who's not there anymore. He was a good guy. He would listen. I do miss some of the old people. I mean, even the one-on-one we had with Devin Wenig, like that was kind of cool. Like there hasn't been any opportunity like that in the last 4 or 5 years. But anyways, we had brought up how nice it would be just to integrate Terapeak with the eBay app. Like, why do we have to go out of eBay and go to the website? Why do I have to have a little, link in my phone to go to Terapeak? Why can't I automatically just search and if I don't want to do 90 days, I could do 30 days, or I could put 2 years, or I could put 10 years. Anyways, just my thoughts. What are you going to say here, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of it. Is it's so cumbersome to get that information, and maybe part of it is because 99% of the time, most sellers aren't even using Terapeak and that kind of information. So the cost and the amount of extra bandwidth it would take for them to be able to include that, I think it comes at a cost. Like in the sense of for instance, if I wanted, and I think this is where the compromise would have to come with something like that. If I wanted to see the Terapeak data instead of just the data that comes like naturally, like however much time they give you, I wanted to see longer, 2 years worth. Or if they were going to include a decade's worth, like you mentioned, then I think it should be an option that you click, because it's going to slow down the app. Like the app is going to have to process a lot more information. The connection, the data that's being sent over the network is going to take longer. So I think that what they're looking for is like speed and ease of use, right? Like if majority of their users would rather just have a faster experience than to like get 10 years worth of data that they're probably not going to look at. So there should be just like an easy thing that when you click search, you can like change the setting. You know how like we can lock the sold, right? There should be something where you have that as an option. Your filter is like the go way back or something like that, right? Where you can see like a longer period of time. And then you could lock that if you want, just knowing that when that feature is locked, it's going to take maybe an extra 5 seconds for it to load up the data, or 10 seconds to load up the data. But if you're looking for that and you want to use that, then it's worth it for you. And then the average user wouldn't have to. So that would be like I'm not an IT guy. I can't design the program, but I think it would be a compromise. Like I'd be okay to get that feature. I'd be okay with having to wait a little bit longer for my search results if I could select that or not. But I would imagine that's probably why they haven't, and why they don't include that information, because the more data they offer to us, the end user, the slower the process is going to take. So I think they're trying to make it speed.
My counter to that, though, is I go to WorthPoint, it's not any slower. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I wonder if I just use WorthPoint for my comps. I mean, it depends. WorthPoint doesn't have everything that eBay sells, but it's actually, I would argue at times WorthPoint's even faster. And WorthPoint, by the way, if you're watching us, you can sponsor us. It'd be awesome. So let us know. I'm a big supporter of WorthPoint lately. They're doing a good job. But maybe they could offer it like it's a tier thing. Like if you have, a premium store, right? It's one of the perks that you get, right? Or you get an anchor, whatever it is. I just think it would go a long way. I think it would especially in this time right now where, everybody's talking about, eBay and promoted listings and something. They could just add something. It's like the pizza party at lunch. No one gets a raise, but at least you got the pizza party. I'm just joking, but do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like it's like something that they get people, going, all right, hey, eBay is looking out for the sellers, especially the secondary sellers. So anyways, that was my 2 cents. I thought it'd be nice. I am grateful that Terapeak is there. It goes back 2 years. I think they've made great strides with that. I just want to see it go, all the way.
That's good. All right, our next one that's on the list, and I think this would be extremely helpful, is allowing us as the sellers and maybe even the buyers. It would work, I think, both ways, but allowing the ability to send an offer with free or reduced shipping. So there's already platforms that do this, like Poshmark does this. And it's kind of a cool system in the sense of how many times, Orlando, I mean, you sell way more than I do, so I'm sure it's all the time, but where you get people who say something like, can I get this at this price with free shipping? And then you either have to create a new listing in order to show them that free shipping, or explain in a message, well, I can bring it down to this price, which kind of covers the cost of shipping. And then it's just, if you could just make it where, $25 free shipping, as opposed to, well, the shipping is $13.99, so I'll lower it to this amount, so it ends up being $20. It's just a hassle, right? So it'd be great if you can just send an offer where you had the flexibility of adjusting the shipping on that, or even allow the buyers to do the same on an offer, because there's been a lot of times where I get an offer from somebody and in their message, and sometimes you don't catch it, where they have like free shipping, and like it's like a decent offer. The item costs $40 and they sent you a $35 offer, and you're like, sweet. But you didn't realize they put free shipping as like a message in there. And so then you have to let them know, like, well, I can't do free shipping. And then it's just, if they had the ability to say, like, this is what I want it with free shipping, then it relieves a ton of stress and just extra work on our part of having to adjust either the listing completely or adjust the offer. Because that's the other thing too, is I don't always want to adjust my listing, because then if they don't buy it, and then you got to go back and read. So yeah, it'd be great if you could just had that feature available on the offers that you send.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't think it would be much more. Like on Poshmark, whenever I send an offer, I get the ability to choose free shipping, or it'll tell me like, can you do 25% off shipping, or whatever it is. Like it just should be manageable, right? I'm going to add something to this. On the app, have you ever done where you send offers, but then you have to go to another screen to make sure it adds it automatically from this point forward? So you're going like 2 to 3 screens to get things done. Like it should be all in one screen, right? This is something I remember when I was developing a website for the school I was working at, was I would always say, hey, it should be one click. Like you shouldn't have to do 2 or 3 clicks, because by the second or third, people aren't going to click anymore. They're just done looking for things. And on my end, was that?
Yeah, fewer clicks, the better.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I got to tell you, when the worst is when they send you and they say free shipping and you just accept it, right? Because you don't even read the message. You're like, oh, it's a great dollar amount. Then you get the message. It's like, hey, I wanted free shipping, right? So then you have to either refund the amount, or you have to cancel and redo the listing. Like there's just too many hoops to jump through, when it should just be an easy, here's free shipping, or here's redo, or maybe even you can add, like I can do ground shipping instead of expedited shipping at that price, right? That would be another nice option, where you could say, hey, I don't mind cutting down if you're good with ground shipping, because I've had people contact me too, where like, hey, I don't mind if you ship it the slowest rate. I'm not in a hurry to get it. I was just wondering if I can get it this dollar amount. And that's nice, because then I could go, all right, instead of sending a priority, which would be, let's say, $13, I can send the ground, USPS ground for $6, and I could just adjust it right there. So I think that would be very nice.
Yeah. Flexibility.
Now, before we move on, hey, if you haven't yet checked out something that is working well and definitely has been easy to use, my reseller Genie. I'm at the place right now where I'm trying to put together my taxes because I'm filing late, but it's been beautiful because my reseller Genie, I know all my information's there from 2022, and all I have to do is go in there and do a few tweaks, and it's going to give me a great P&L report. It's going to allow me to put my other expenses in there. So if you haven't checked that out yet, you haven't done any kind of bookkeeping, and you can't stand Excel spreadsheets, check out my reseller Genie for 15% off the first month. Use our code Pure Hustle, all caps, and you'll get 15% off that first month. Again, use our code Pure Hustle, all caps, and my reseller Genie. You can go to the link below for that.
Yeah.
All right. So this next one. Now, do me a favor. Are you able to right now? Can you check your 90-day total on your phone? I'm not asking you to share it, but can you check your 90-day total on your phone and check your 90-day total on Seller Hub? Yeah, and tell me if they're the same.
All right, let me do that while you talk about this one. Okay. And I'll tell you if it's the same or not.
So my 90-day total on my phone and my 90-day total on Seller Hub are thousands of dollars apart.
Wow.
And I don't even know how that's possible. Like, I don't know. Maybe I don't have a setting. Let me know in the comments if I haven't said something right. Maybe that's it. But it really is off. And this is one of the reasons I'm not a fan of people flexing their 90-day totals, because I know I'm not the only one. I know a lot of sellers that they're like, this is how much it says, but that's not really where I'm at right now. And so you go to Seller Hub. And so I'm like, why can't these two be synced? It should be the same, right? It should be the same, but it's not. And Mike, when you're looking, I'm talking about when you go to Seller Hub and it has that graph of how you're doing over the month.
So it shows the chart. Does it show last 7, 31, and 90 days?
Yeah, that one,
graph? Yeah.
So,
those numbers are not the same for sure.
Yeah, so why is that? Somebody in the comments let us know.
Okay. I think it could be. I'm trying to do the math here. I think it could be if you add the 7, the 31, and the 90. Because it breaks it down like it's almost like oh no, that's not right. Because no, I don't know.
Right? It doesn't make sense.
Okay, maybe it's the date, the time frame. So like mine for this says July 5th to August 4th. I wonder if like the 90-day total, like the days are. Let's see. I don't know. That is weird. I've never I don't go to Seller Hub enough. I'm using my phone. But yeah, that does make it like, is one of these wrong? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And so to me, it's a simple fix, right? All you have to do is sync and give us the information. And the other thing, which is interesting, is, and we've talked about this before. So yesterday, I sold a bomber jacket for $100 plus shipping. So automatically, it went in my 90-day total. Mm-hmm. Buyer, and this before the buyer paid already. It was already on there. Then the buyer messaged me and said, "Hey, I thought this was free shipping. I can't afford more than 100. Please cancel." So I canceled it. What happened to my 90-day total? It stayed the same. It was still there. So I wonder how many items over the 90 days are canceled items that are still there. You know what I mean? It's not an accurate number. And so to me, that's a little concerning. And I know we can do some more clicks, right? We can go to store performance. We can go to this report and that report, but I don't want to.
No.
Just if the information's there, just make it accurate. It's right there. Why make sellers jump through more hoops?
Yep.
So anyways, anybody else has a solution to this, let us know in the comments. All right. That was a real easy one. Yeah. So anything you want to add to that one?
No, I think that's good. And maybe there's something we're missing here. I've spent a little bit more time looking at the Seller Hub. There might be something why, but yeah, just intuitively, like if I go on to the Seller Hub, I'm going to think my 90-day total is yours less on the Seller Hub than it is on your phone.
Yes.
So I wonder, it could just be data, like maybe it doesn't refresh as often. I'm not sure. So,
and we've also brought up the fact that it includes shipping too, and includes taxes. Right. So it's even then it's not a real total, right? You really, and again, yes, I know we can click and we can find the report, but why? Is it to motivate us that hey, we're actually making this much money, but we're not?
That's definitely part of it.
Because I've mentioned before, there's some resellers we know that they sell big items all the time, right? So they charge maybe $100 per item that they ship. Like their 90-day totals are crazy. But the reality is maybe a third of their 90-day total is just shipping, right? So it means absolutely nothing, right? So it'd be nice. Maybe add little boxes, right? In this total, include shipping, include taxes. And if you don't, you can click on those boxes so the check mark goes away and it gives you a good net profit right there. It'd be nice. All right, I'm done.
That's good. All right, so this next one, I think this is pretty good. it should be an easy thing for them to do, and I see maybe why they don't. But we set policies, right? Whether you have free returns or buyer pays returns, but typically you've got this 30-day period, right? So the buyer has 30 days, they can return an item, but it's like not a hard and fast thing. Mm-hmm. So for instance, if a customer gets something, let's say they get it, they've had it now 2-3 weeks, it's getting close to the end of that 30 days. Next thing you know, they open up a case, they want to return it for some reason. They wore it to the event they were wanting to wear it to, and now they want to return it. Which a lot of times I feel like those late returns or things like that. So they start the return, and one of the nice things with doing a return like that is sometimes they don't return it, sometimes they do, but you don't have that 30-day from the time the item arrived as like a hard and fast rule that hey, they received this item on the 1st of the month, so by the 30th of the month, if they have not sent it back, it's case closed. They can't send it back for a refund anymore. No, instead, they could have a couple days left. They start the refund, and that time can get extended. Or if they were to call eBay could say like, okay, now they have 2 weeks to return the item before like you can close the case. And I've experienced where it's like those numbers. It's like the Wild West. It's like who knows what eBay is going to do, how they're going to be sided with it, as opposed to you just being able to say, nope, we're past the 30-day mark now. If they open up the case at any point prior to that 30 days, they get like extended time. So it's like it's not a hard and fast rule. So for us, it's like we don't know, hey, am I ready to close this out yet? Or they might still send it back. What if they don't? And at a certain point, it's like your money is just being tied up. Your time is being tied up on the item. It would just be as simple to know like, hey, eBay's policy is to support us with the 30-day return. By the time the item arrives, maybe start it then, because it's not fair for them to have to, if it took a week for it to arrive. But once the item gets to them, it's been confirmed that it's been delivered. It should be 30 days, the amount of time they have to return it. After that, sorry, too bad, so sad.
Yeah, it's simple. That's the thing. I can't. It's just interesting to me. Like sometimes I'll have people wait until day 28. And then they'll open the return, and I call eBay. I'm like, hey, can we close this? They're like, well, they opened it. We should give them another 7 days. Sometimes it's 4. And it depends who you talk to, too. Like, there's no consistency. So it would be nice. It would be nice, And I know eBay, I'm sure at one point will encourage us to do 60-day returns, right? And so if that's the case, then let's stick to the 60 days. Let's keep
lifetime guarantee.
Lifetime guarantee. So. All right, hey, I want to apologize to people if they heard me coughing. I didn't know if I stopped recording on our StreamYard that it's still recording on our other app, right? Is that correct?
You muted it on StreamYard?
Yeah.
But you had it going on our
Yeah.
Yeah. The coughing will be there for sure.
Okay. All right. My apologies. Unless I'll tell you the time unless we can do with that.
Tell me when did you cough? I'll try and get it out.
All right, I'll tell you after. All right. I just thought
that's behind the scenes pure podcast right there.
I just thought it was hilarious because I thought I was slick. I hit the mute and I just cleared my throat, and then I'm like, wait,
nothing happened. Mute and you're like, what is Mike talking about? That guy doesn't. Oh no,
I know. It's recording. A good thing because I could have been blankety blank, Mike, which I wouldn't do anyways. What if that happened? And I'm all like, oh, things are all good, and next thing you know, you drop this episode, and no longer are we Pure Hustle podcast after that point.
Yep.
That would be hilarious. So, okay. Good times. All right. Hey, at least since your move, like I would say you've done a great job of keeping the quality of the recording there. So,
thank you. We're working on it.
We're working on it. So, all right. Hey, so this next one, I think we've discussed this multiple times, but I always love it when, it's a good day. I'm joined, I went and I played, I don't play the lotto, but you know what I mean? Like everything's going for you, the parking space you needed at the store is available. You've had a great day of sales. Your kids come home. They're like, hey, I aced both of my tests. And then you go on the eBay app and you're like, wait a second. Why is this red thing here on my feedback? And it's a negative feedback. And it's not even anything. It's just somebody goes, didn't work. And you're like, what? Like you couldn't message me? You couldn't let me know? You couldn't open a return? You couldn't do anything. And so you're like, now I have to deal with this. So you can go to Seller Help, which Seller Help's kind of interesting. The eBay Seller Help page, I don't know if the AI operates it. I don't know who operates that page, but when I put request whatever, sometimes they'll take care of it, and sometimes it goes into the nether. Like, I don't know what happens to it. Like, I never get an email. I never get a response. And so I either go to eBay for Business on Facebook and message them, but most of the time I will call. And then you have to call. You have to go, hey, this person never reached out to me. This last time I actually had somebody that just said didn't work. It was a little Thomas the Train thing, which needed a battery. And so I messaged, I'm like, hey, did you put a battery in that thing? And never got back to me. So I have to call eBay and I have to explain to them everything. And they're like, oh, and they removed it. But wouldn't it have been nice if when they were leaving that negative feedback, if I was alerted before it was put in and just said, hey, by the way, you know, there's a pending negative feedback, try to resolve things with the buyer, message the buyer, see if they want to return or just something like that. Right. I think that would save eBay time, right? Because no one's having to answer the phone. There's nobody on seller help having to, you know, deal with things, the AI or whoever's taking care of things, you know. And in the end, you can maybe resolve it and that negative feedback never shows up. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a good idea to be able to resolve it with us first, right? You know, I mean, it definitely. Yeah, how many times it's like a simple thing? It's like an apology, or it's hey, let me refund, or something like that, and so it's fixed. I feel like I have seen that before, where they try and is that just us talking, or have I heard people say that because I don't buy a lot on eBay, or when I do buy on eBay, I've never asked for a refund, but I kind of feel like don't they already do that where they say like please contact the seller first, or is that something?
Yeah, they make people wait 3 days.
Okay.
And then they give them the option of contacting you if like something's not working. But
so you're wanting like it not just be an option, you want it to be absolutely required?
Well, not required, just an alert that a seller gets. Hey, there's a pending potential negative feedback. You know, it would be great for you to contact, you know, just say, hey, how's everything going with whatever. Just so you can just resolve it with the buyer.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know, so yeah, eBay does have something in place. It just, you know, I would say in this last year, 50% of my negative feedbacks that had to get removed, they were just something that I had to resolve, but they never reached out. They just left the negative feedback. Yeah,
like it could be, I mean, because they give the 3 days on the front end. So what if there's 3 days on the back end too? So where it just kind of like goes into like a limbo. Once they leave it, then it doesn't post until 3 days. And in that time, you've got time to like resolve it, right? And they can remove it. That would be nice, right? Because then same thing, right? Like the whole idea of having them wait 3 days before they leave a negative feedback is to prevent that, like, you know, how many times just in life, like just sleeping on something, you feel better, right? Like if you just responded when you're angry and then you're like, okay, it's not a big deal. So that 3 days, like actually does probably help reduce a lot of the negative feedback. But even still, like maybe at that point, somebody gives the negative feedback. It's not officially, it hasn't hit your account yet. And then you have the time to resolve it. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I can't imagine that hurting anybody.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, and again, I don't know all the ramifications of it, but it's eBay's always, every time you call, right? The first question you get when you're trying to remove a defect is, did you attempt to resolve things with the buyer? Every time. So, all right, hey, good. Before we move on to our hustle of the week, if you haven't been following us yet on social media, we are Pure Hustle Podcast on all social media except on X. We are Pure Hustle Cast. It's kind of weird saying that. So
yeah, it's still Twitter.
No, but it's Twitter to me. The question is, what is it when you tweet now? You know, did you X something out? It doesn't make sense. You can always give us a call, 619-738-1170. That's 619-738-1170. Or you could, shoot us an email at purehustlepodcast@gmail.com, purehustlepodcast@gmail.com. We try to do our best to get back to you, but if you shoot us an email, we'll eventually, we'll get to it. Some days it's like next day, like I see it, I answer it. Some days, I'm busy, a few days of work and I'm not able to get to it. So you can always email us. Thank you to all of you that listen to us on the podcast and also on YouTube. So if you haven't come over to YouTube yet and you've been on the podcast this whole time, come check us out. There's our Monday minisodes. There are also random episodes that we drop. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and hit that bell notification. And as always, we're thankful to everyone here that always, goes over to, not always, you can only do it once, but who have gone over to iTunes and left us a review. It really helps us, especially if you go over, leave that 5 stars, and then leave, why you enjoy the podcast. I think that helps a lot of people, because then people can see, okay, this is why I want to listen to this podcast. So, hey, just wanted to share 3 of the most recent on there. So we haven't had, I shouldn't invite negative ones, but we haven't had any negative ones. So I want to get that 5.0. So this comes from Ashui, is the way it pronounced. Ashui, ASHRWI. So besides helpful, these guys and guests are fun and entertaining to listen to. Well, appreciate that. This comes from Paint Jeng Lady. It's a painting lady with a J instead of an I. Says, these guys know their stuff. I've been reselling a few years, and I still learn things from them. They are honest, stay on point, explore topics that resonate with reselling. Appreciate that. Especially, I love hearing from people that have been reselling for a while, because, sometimes I just wonder, do people still get stuff out of it? I'm always learning. Doesn't matter how long I've been reselling, I'm always learning. And this last one comes from Callan AHRB. Says, very informative. I appreciate the overall positive outlook of the show. I always love it when people say we're positive, because we always get people that say we're negative, right? And I've picked up some good tips. I also like that they stick to the topic and skip the inane chit chat and banter that some of other shows make things unbearable. So I appreciate that. We do try to stay on point. Yeah, we have gone down rabbit trails sometimes, but it's very rare. So, all right. I think that's everything. Thank you to all of you that support us on iTunes. All right, are you ready to talk about some major scores here?
Yeah, I'm gonna put the Hustle of the Week sound effect on in just a moment. And for those of you who've been listening and watching the last couple of episodes, I think last episode was messed up. The episode before, I think, was okay, and then it was messed up before. So I'm still working on including this in. I have to do that in post-production. And so if for whatever reason, like we're jamming out, but there's no sound, or there's like a blank spot, or I think last week, like I was awkwardly
hilarious.
reading the news part and there's no new sound effect, right? Which is totally cool when I say eBay has decided to, and I'm doing that with like the breaking news sound effect. But if I'm just doing that with no music behind it, it's like not as cool for sure. So
I need to go back.
If you're listening to it, there's the music should be on there, but feel free to let us know if I ever forget. And that kind of explains, if you're wondering what happened, I had forgotten in the past to add it post production. So anyways,
we just need a producer.
Now time. Yeah. I mean, look, we do it all, man. We're resellers, we're podcasters, we're producers, social media marketers. We're running our own ship over here. Yeah, it would be nice to have somebody who actually knew what they were doing with some of these things. But here we go.
No, you know what you're doing.
Come on,
right,
hustlers. It's the freaking hustle of the week. Yeah, hustle of the week. Again, that's one of those things, like, imagine it got silent for a while and then you just hear Mike come back in going, yeah, for no reason. Anyways, hustle of the week with the music. So our first hustle of the week comes from, let me pull it up. Lance. So on Instagram, his Instagram handle is ammo short sales.
Ammo
short
sales.
Sometimes I feel like when I read we talked about this before, but like handles, it's like license plates. Not always, but sometimes like you got to figure out like where the words are. Like, oh yeah. Anyway, so Lance found a typewriter at his local Discrete Industries. Desert. Okay, typo. Desert Industries went on a whim one day and reopened after having some remodeling done. Probably wouldn't have gone in or checked if they were open if my wife hadn't sent me a message saying they were packed. So me and my son head over there and start browsing the packed aisles and shelves. After finding a few tailor-made golf club covers, we head for the electronics, where I spotted this typewriter. I grabbed it to do a quick search of eBay, not knowing much about them, other than that I had heard, probably on your podcast, that some of them were valuable. A quick search found I could at least 4 times my money spent, so I purchased for $25 and headed home. This is where your mantra of research paid off. I started looking over the typewriter more and plugging in more keywords to find better comps. when I noticed that the typewriter did cursive script and all of the comps for those were 200 plus, if not more. So I took all the pictures and listed it high. After about 2 months of lots of views and me sending out offers just about weekly, sometimes several times a week, even offering someone 225 ones, a buyer sent me an offer of 290 and I jumped all over it. Heck yeah. So $25 to 290 for a typewriter. And here's the Bellow part of it. Cursive, man, looking for the cursive typewriters that add some value to the typewriter. Lance, what an amazing find. And I love the fact that we have talked about typewriters on the podcast, and just that research paid off, and you were able to turn $25 into 290. Love it. Fantastic.
So let me give you the name of it. It wasn't in there. It's the Olivetti Underwood Lettera 32 by Iowa Business Machines. I never even heard of that, you know? Usually you hear like Corona or something like that, you know? So yeah, Olivetti Underwood. All right, nice work there, Lance. Appreciate you sharing with us. All right, so this next one comes from Picking Poppies 1029 from the Discord. She said, today I was picking up auction items in a town about an hour away from where I live in Charleston. Antique stores around Charleston are money, and I rarely find items I can resell. I decided to take my chances and checked out antique stores in the town. The prices were so good, and one booth had 50% off all jewelry. Turns out I found a very rare 1950s or 60s Boucher Bird of Paradise brooch for $60. Man, I gotta tell you, I don't know if I would even have moved on that, you know, $60, right? There's one on auction with the bid currently at $900. I posted the brooch with a $300 start at auction and received 6 offers quickly for up to $500, sold for $770 plus shipping. Wow, that is, there's 2 things at play here. Number one, I don't go to antique stores like ever. Like I always feel like when you go in there, you're going to get ripped off every time, right? Because there's people who know what they're selling. And number 2, so you had the eye for that. And number 2, like you started your auction high after paying $60, you started at $300 and it got up to $770. Like that's pretty awesome. So, you know, we always say most of the time we never do auctions, but there is a place for auctions, especially when it's something that is rare, hard to come by. So nice work there. Picking Poppies 1029 from the Discord.
Very good. All right. Our next one comes from Discord also. So Elsinore Picker from the Discord went to a yard sale and picked up a trumpet for $5. Nice. Sold in about 12 hours. It was a CG Con 6D double French horn circa 1935. Wow, that's a classic. For $480 plus shipping. So $5 to $480 plus shipping. Man, that's a good sell right there. I mean, you never know, like especially with some of those instruments, it's always worth looking up because you never know what's going to be like something somebody had in their high school and it was just like a cheapie that's, you know, unless you know about instruments, you're not going to know how to even test it if it works. But if something that's that old, it's from the 30s, might be worth looking up, man. That's a killer deal.
No, I agree. Hey, and by the way, if you guys are wondering what we mean by Discord, we do have a Discord that you can join by supporting us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/podcast or go to the link below. For $5.55 a month, you can help support the podcast. And what that does is it allows you to jump in on the Discord, join a community of resellers who are serious about reselling. And I got to tell you, everybody's on point, always offering information from all kinds of sellers. So really appreciate that. All right, what is do you have a hustle of the week, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge one. Actually, my eBay's been doing really good with some like bread and butter items over this last couple of weeks. So we'll talk more about that on our next update episode. But this one is kind of interesting. So comes with maybe a little bit of a story. Maybe I'll save the story part for our update episode as well. But anyways, my wife used to work for a company that would do trade shows for, I mean, think of something like Home Depot, that type of thing where, but it's specifically selling items to like hospitals or to hotels, that type of stuff. So there would be trade shows and different companies would come in and set up booths. They'd advertise the products they had and owners of hotels and stuff like that would come through. Well, a lot of those booths at the end of the expo, they get those stuff shipped to them. Like, so the stores will send the stuff to display. and they'll send them on pallets, but they don't want to pay to have that stuff shipped back. So a lot of times those things, like at the end of the expo, it's just given away. So my wife was at an expo one time, was able to like fill up a suitcase with a bunch of stuff they were just giving away at the end. And we've been selling those things throughout the year. So anyways, this was kind of a small sell, but she picked up a bunch of, they're called clean remotes. So if you ever go to certain hotel rooms, you'll notice that they have remotes that are like basically disposable remotes. So they're almost kind of like one-time use remotes, or at least they seem that way, which I don't think most hotels are actually throwing them away, or they have covers they'll put on them. But they're called clean remotes. And I think a lot of hotels, especially the smaller ones, aren't using them as like one-time use remotes. They use them for a long period of time, but then they can replace them out, and it's not like the actual like Samsung remote or DirecTV remote. They're specific like universal remotes for hotels. And we've been selling these for the last couple of years now. And we just sold like a 1-pack. I forgot about them. It's been a while since we sold some. And it was like a $20+ sale from something that was free, right? And that's where like the hustle part comes in. Is my wife thought like, hey, I've got some room in my suitcase. I know these things are selling on eBay, so we're literally giving these out and throwing them away. Might as well just throw some in the suitcase, and it's been nice.
There you go. Hey,
so small sell, but from free to 20, you know, I'll take it.
And you know, multiple times, I mean, it's good. So mine is it's you know, I had hoped that this item would have sold for a lot more. So it's been a while. I would say I picked these up maybe 3 years ago. I picked up a pair of Lucchese boots. Okay, and so these are Lucchese Callaway black leather cowboy boots, Royal Calf. And when I looked up the retail on these, they were about $2,000 retail. So my rule of thumb is if something's in excellent shape, like it's almost new, and the retail is a crazy number, I always go about 50%, right? So I had put these, I think I put them at like 1,500. So maybe 75% on this one, just because no one else had these listed. But the thing was with these boots, there wasn't anything really special. They were just really nice. Like their quality, Lucchese is, you know, one of the top tier boots out there. And, you know, this is what you learn on eBay for after selling for a while, is that even though the retail is high, unless there's a demand for it, it doesn't matter. Like your price, like you're never going to get that top dollar that you're hoping for. And so I had these listed for 3 years, and I never got an offer. Not once. Never an offer, never a message. And I did my research. They were the correct boots. And so I had them at 50% off, and I had them on sale for, it was like $800 or whatever. And somebody finally sent me an offer of $400. Now,
nice.
$400 isn't bad. Why? I only paid $20 for these boots. So I'm not mad about it. I 20x my money. I'm fine with it. And so I quickly accepted that, and it went to a good home, and somebody got a deal. I made good money. And that's something I hope everyone, you listening, you realize that, you know, you may want top dollar for something, but $400 is something I can turn into something, right? Who knows? I take that 400, I go to a garage sale, and I make 1K from that. And then I turn that 1K and I make another K. You know what I mean? So, you know, don't go, I'm waiting for the right buyer. I was waiting 3 years for the right buyer. There was no right buyer except for this person. And so just think about that. So yeah, keep an eye for Lucchese boots. Don't know why, you know, there was no interest, but hey, I'm happy to turn $20 into $400, even if it's 3 years later. So that was my hustle of the week.
Yeah. Good stuff.
All right. So we got some more on our wish list here. Okay. So
let me get this one. I think this one's good.
All right.
So this is like a big deal to me because I feel like companies, the app is like the most important thing, right? Like I know you do a lot of stuff on the computer. I know a lot of sellers are using the computer for listings. I get that listing on the computer is very useful. However, I feel like when you're sourcing, a lot of times when you're doing research, you're out doing your day-to-day things, you're getting and sending offers. It's all happening on the app. So you want a very user-friendly interface on the app. And one of the things that I still can't believe they haven't really like adjusted and made better is their messaging system. Now, you remember when it was like the old school messaging system and they finally got like bubbles, and it was like,
like
wow, like that changes, like just the interface of that like changes everything. But even still, like the fact that it's really difficult to like search, like even on like the features that are available on Gmail, I can type in, if I'm looking for new homeowners insurance, or I was working with homeowners insurance, I can type in State Farm, and it's going to send anything that either State Farm sent to me or that mentions State Farm in it or whatever, right? It should be that easy on eBay with items. It's like, wait, that item sold, or somebody mentioned refund. You should be able to type in refund and get all the ones where people said, I want a refund, right? Like you should be able to search, you should be able to list, you should be able to organize. Like you should be able to have files where you can say like upset customers, and you can put those things in there, customer resolved issues. And that way you can find things a little bit easier, maybe like potential, potential future customers, like somebody who's like, if you're selling lots of a certain type of item, they had a good response, then you could like message them like, hey, I got some more of these in stock. So there should be ways of organizing, of searching. And I get that you can't just copy and paste what Google Gmail is doing, but at the same time, it's like everything has this, right? Like every messaging system, Discord, all of these things have some way of searching and organizing. And I just feel like the messaging system on eBay is still, it's not there yet, you know?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing too, because it's supposed to be between you and buyers, right? But I get every message, right? You know, my payouts. I get a message about eBay Open. I get a message about, this offer, the offer expired message. That one I don't understand. Somebody help me in the comments why we get offer expired. I don't like, is that supposed to go? So, I mean, I can't take any action on that. What action am I supposed to take on? Or am I supposed to send another offer, but I can't? Am I supposed to lower my price because the offer expired? I don't know. So you get every single thing in there, when I think it should be something that, like you said, like it should be like a text message, right? When I go to my text messages, for example, my kid's medical insurance, sometimes I'll go and they're like, what's the medical record number? And I'm like, I don't know what it is. But if I go in my text and I type in medical record number, because at some point, I don't know if their mom messaged me it or whatever it is, I'm able to find it real quick. Right. And it'd be great. I get sometimes, buyers that buy stuff from me and they're like, hey, if you ever come across this, it would be great. Just let me know. And it'd be great if I remember this person that always wanted to buy Dr. Pepper hats from me. I'm not sure why. They were just a big collector. And I remember back, you can still do this. I would have to go to the messages on the desktop and type in Dr. Pepper. And sometimes they weren't there anymore because it took too much, it was like a year ago. But it would just be nice to be able to search and contact that guy and say, hey, by the way, I came across another Dr. Pepper hat. If you're interested, here's a listing you can buy. Right. So, and I know they're working on stuff, but even prioritizing sometimes messages, if you could do that, right? Or if you could tag them somehow, how you could do with emails. I mean, just something, but I'm just grateful for the way it is now. Because before, man, it was crazy before, and it's nice. Have you seen the ability you can send offer, somebody messages you is now on the app?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a nice one. Maybe it's been there for like 2 years and I just noticed in the last few months, but I think it was great. All right. So this one is a tricky one. And I'm not sure why eBay ended the access to this. So there was a time where you could go to like a website, flippertools.com, and you could find out how much an item that sold for best offer actually sold for. Now, you may be able to do this on Terapeak. I'll be honest, I haven't researched that yet. But it would be nice because now you have no idea, right? You could search comps, and let's say you're looking for something unique and there's 5 solds, but all of them have the line through it, and it doesn't tell you how much it actually sold for. Like, it would be really nice to have access to that. And I can see both sides. I can see the one side, eBay doesn't want people to know because maybe they want people to think it actually went for the, great price and not that much. Because I've seen people on YouTube go, oh, this said best offer, it was 100. They probably sold this for 90. And I'm like, yeah. Do you know how best offer works? Like, I've sold things sometimes that are 100 for $60, sometimes for 55, depending on how slow things are. And so it would be nice so you can kind of really gauge where the market is on items, because if all you have is best offer of line through it, you really don't know where to list an item at, right? And so maybe there's a workaround. Maybe it's WorthPoint. Maybe it's a Terapeak, but it would just be nice if somehow we could get access. And maybe it's something that only, if you don't want buyers find out. Maybe only on the seller side of the app you can find out how much. I don't know. Just something to think about. Maybe I'm asking for too much. I don't know. So there's just that one.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I think you nailed it. I think it's one of those things where it makes people, it looks better, right? And then also maybe it's private. It might be one of those things where they don't want people to know what the final value that they paid for it is. I don't know. But yeah, that would be nice to know, because there's a lot of times where the only comps that are available are a little line through it, and you're like, wait, what was that? So it would be nice to know for sure. So the next one that I think would be really helpful for us as sellers to have, and even for buyers as well. And I'm a little leery on this one. We kind of added this on there, and I think there's pros and cons to it. But you know how if you're like on OfferUp, they have like the people have almost like ratings. It's like this person usually responds within 15 minutes, or this person is on time. And so there's like that, not just like a rating, like how many stars they have, but also there's some like actual data, some hard data there that can be helpful. If I'm like sending to somebody, or somebody sends something to me and I see like, hey, they have a response time of 2 weeks. Yeah, I'm probably not even going to be dealing with making an offer on this. It's been up for 2 months. They're not an active seller, versus this person responds within 5 minutes. It's like, okay, this is a person who's like motivated to sell items. So what if there was something like that on eBay, where we as sellers could see a buyer, and it says this buyer tends to pay within, 30 minutes or something like that. That might be really helpful, whether or not I'm going to accept an offer. Now, of course, it would just be better if it was instant payment.
Well, we were leaving that towards the end.
Yeah. But you know what I mean, though? Like, those are the types of things where it'd be nice to know. If they're not going to give us that, then at least let us know. If they send an offer to me, is this a person? I mean, you can kind of tell, like, hey, this person has got a bunch of items or a bunch of reviews. They've got 300 reviews. They're probably going to pay if they sent me an offer, versus somebody who has 12. I don't know, maybe not. So, but it would be helpful just to know, like, this person does within this, or even shipment, right? It would be nice for a buyer. That might give them a little bit of some like security or trust in the seller, or just like more motivation to buy from a seller if they see like, this person usually ships within 6 hours. Mm-hmm. Well, if you've got same day shipping, like that doesn't matter, but just the buyer seeing that might be like, oh, that's great. Like I'm gonna pick this person. So just having those things just could be other ways to like help you get more customers, and or if you're the seller part of it, to see, is this a person I really want as my customer?
Yeah, I think it'd be great. I mean, I know a lot of sellers would be opposed to this because then they would feel the pressure, but I think it'd give the ability of sellers that really are on top of things to get an advantage. Right. And so, like you said, like on OfferUp, right? On OfferUp, if I want to buy something, if I see somebody that says responds in 3 days, I don't know if I'm going to message them. But if somebody says, hey, I'll get back to, gets back to people in 2 minutes, like I'm going to message them. What about buyers? If a buyer is really motivated to buy something and they look and the response times, right, they can choose this person that maybe it's $5 cheaper, but they take about a day to respond, or they can go to this person that's, $5 more, but they'll get back to you within seconds. That could help you gain that sale. And so I don't know. I think it'd be good. Maybe I don't know what I'm asking for. Maybe I'm asking for trouble by asking for this, but I don't think it would hurt. I really appreciate it on OfferUp. I do love it. I think it also separates me from the crowd when people see that, hey, I respond right away, right? Because I do think, people's time is valuable, right? And I'm a big believer. I can't stand it when buyers, they send me a message. They want answers right. I go out of my way to answer them, and then it's like crickets. And it's like, why? The worst ones are the ones that are like, hey, can you go and measure the toe to heel on this boot? Or can you see how this, looks next to this item here, or whatever it is? And it's like, you go out of your way and you make it happen, and then they never get back to you. It would be nice if I got a message that says this buyer responds to messages in 1 or 2 days. Then you could be like, yeah, okay, I'll take my time with this one. Anyways, yeah. I don't know. Hey, for each of these that we've shared on this podcast, let us know in the comments your thoughts. And you also add yours. It'd be great. I know eBay goes through comments sometimes. They look at stuff. It would really be helpful if you did that. Okay, the last one here is not the elephant in the room. It's the mammoth in the room. It's multiple mammoths inside a very tiny home of a room. And it would be beautiful. It would be incredible if by the time the eBay Open comes around, because this was announced by the CEO of eBay at the last eBay Open, that unpaid items is something that would be resolved. Now, I'm sure it was a political thing. I'm going to pull up that video and make like a remix of it because I'm pretty sure he didn't say it would be fixed, but he would say we're working on it, right? Because no good sound politician would say we're going to get it done unless they're on the campaign trail. So unpaid items, we're getting there. Don't get me wrong. I like the little green check mark that I get that says the buyer will be charged once you accept this. But even then, it doesn't happen right away. It's like 45 minutes. Sometimes it could be 3 hours later, and I'll get that payment that comes through. But the green check mark gives me peace, knowing okay, I'm not wasting my time with this buyer. But it would be nice. It would be nice. Where are you on this? Do I even need to ask?
No, I mean, it's one of those things that I feel like I was less concerned about a couple of months ago because my eBay was kind of slowed down a little bit. I was doing a little bit more local deals. I kind of had my eBay on hold a little bit. And so, but now that I'm kind of getting eBay rolling again, it is amazing how many offers I accept and people don't pay. I mean, I had one guy accepted his offer yesterday. It was a counter offer. I sent an offer. He responded with an offer. I accepted it almost immediately. Then it's crickets. And then the next morning I wake up and I got a message that he sent in the middle of the night. It was like, I'm going to send funds or I'm going to send payment. I promise. I'm just waiting for funds to come in. And this is like an $18 sell, right? Yeah. Like this isn't like a $400 sell. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like this seems like a potential problem. And I've had like several like that where it's like they ghost you. And the hard part is right now because my stuff is so unorganized. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff still in totes that I have like from my move. When I get an offer from somebody, I don't accept the offer until I go and make sure I know where it's at. Yep. It's just like, I want to make sure like I know where it is because I don't want to accept an offer and then spend forever looking for it and realize like maybe this is one of those items that didn't make the trip for some reason, right? I'm going to cancel this. I'd rather just not accept the offer and pull the item down or something. A lot of this stuff is like, oh, I know where that is. But occasionally it's like, did I see that? I don't know. I want to go check first. And so when I spend the time out in a hot shed looking for the item and I'm like, oh, here it is. I pull it, I bring it in so it's ready to be packed up. I accept the offer and then it's an unpaid item. It's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, the other day, I know now we're going to go rant session, okay, for like 2 minutes. But the other day, somebody sent an offer for a vacuum. It was a great offer. I accepted. And I go and I took apart the vacuum. I bubble wrapped it. I packed it all together. I put it in the box. It's all sealed. Buyer never paid. So I spent an hour of that day. Now, did I save an hour later on? Sure. But that day, I had other things I needed to take care of. Instead of wasting my time packing something at that moment. Or how many times, have I had it where, there's something that's huge that I need to pack and the buyer doesn't pay right away. And then I got to go run an errand. I got to go pick up one of my kids or I have to go take care of something. And, they pay like at 4:45 and the post office closes at 5. And I'm supposed to ship same day, right? And they actually, my cutoff time is 1 p.m., but I accept the offer at 12:30. So somehow I still need to ship it out on time, even though they technically paid after my cutoff time, but it doesn't count that way because the sale happened before that. And so it's going to be late shipping. It doesn't matter. So it's just uber frustrating. It's, to me, it's just a simple fix. Some people on Discord have mentioned or even on Instagram, how when I go by, this has happened to me. When I've sent an offer, I've been told to put my payment information ahead of time. So why does that work for some people and some people don't? I don't know. It doesn't make sense, but this is an easy one, eBay. This is an easy one. Everybody in the industry does this. It doesn't seem too hard. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful that we could just send offers. I'm grateful that we can accept offers. I'm grateful for all the things, but hopefully this episode brought a lot of things that I think would make eBay better. And it would make eBay better on the business side. It would make it better for sellers. And, we'd be all one happy family. With that being said, make sure to be real.
Be relevant.
And be reselling. Lates.
Peace.